The camera opens with quiet city streets, at dawn Manhattan still asleep, the skyline tinted gold. A voiceover cuts in calm but piercing. Blake Lively, America's favorite Golden Girl, actress, mother, fashion icon. But behind the velvet curtain of Hollywood smiles and lifestyle launches, a different picture is emerging, one of legal intimidation, silenced collaborators, and power plays that never make it to the red carpet. Cut to archival, red carpet footage, Blake in a shimmering gown, waving as flashes explode. But what happens when the narrative goes off script? What happens when the people working beside her, directors, journalists, even fans, try to speak out? The screen glitches subtly, a folder slams shut. Cue, dramatic underscore. This isn't a fan theory. It's not tabloid gossip. It's a well-documented pattern spanning years, dozens of individuals, and multiple industries. And it starts with the most unlikely of characters. Piers Morgan, the brash British journalist known for his unapologetic takes, revealed that Blake Lively's legal team sent him threatening letters, demanding he take down criticisms with no specific claims of falsehood. No citations, no request for correction, just silence. They didn't want to talk. They wanted me gone, Morgan would later say in a statement. But that wasn't the first time Blake's team took this route, nor the last. Cut to a split screen. On one side, a pristine image of Blake, launching her beverage brand, Betty Buzz, flanked by smiling execs. On the other side, a blacked-out quote from an anonymous fashion blogger. "I was terrified. The legal letter said I was causing irreparable harm to her reputation. All I did was question whether she actually designed those products." Behind the glossy press releases and carefully controlled interviews, something darker takes shape, a method, a playbook. Voiceover deepens. Sources reveal Blake's legal team operates with military precision, cease-and-desist letters sent within hours of criticism, often vague, always intimidating. Whether it's an op-ed, a TikTok, or a behind-the-scenes anecdote from an old coaster, the response is always the same: erase it, or face consequences. This isn't just about protecting a brand, it's about controlling a narrative at any cost. And the most chilling part, most of it never reaches the public. A soft piano fades under the opening scene. Outtakes from the It Ends With Us press tour. Justin Baldoni sits stiffly at a media junket, eyes down, smile forced. The interviewer asks a simple question about creative collaboration. His answer is vague. "It was a unique process," he says, pausing just a moment too long. The voiceover returns. Quieter now, more deliberate. Justin Baldoni wasn't just a co-star, he was a producer, a creative partner, a director who believed he was entering an equal collaboration with Blake Lively. But instead, he found himself navigating a minefield, one littered not with egos, but with legal landmines. Footage rolls of early production, still smiling, table reads, shared coffee cups, behind the scenes, hugs. Then it cuts. Sharp, because by the time cameras started rolling, something had changed. Sources inside the production describe an invisible wall. Two leads, two visions, no communication. When Justin tried to address whispers about tension on set, Blake's legal team reportedly responded within 48 hours. A cease-and-desist letter. Intimidating, vague, familiar. One assistant recalls. He came in, excited, like they were building something meaningful together. Then, everything shifted. He stopped joking. He stopped talking about her at all. It was like someone flipped a switch. The voiceover cuts in. This wasn't just a creative disagreement. It was containment, damage control. Before damage could even occur, multiple insiders claim Blake's lawyer sent a series of warnings to Baldoni's team, each escalating in tone, each avoiding specifics. One makeup artist describes the moment: a single interview comment about adjusting a scene. In legal intervention, we all got quiet after that. Everyone was scared to even say her name on set. Cut to an interview montage. Justin speaks slowly, carefully. His comments about Blake are neutral, clinical. "She's talented. She brought a lot to the role, but never more than that." Back to voiceover. Compare that to Blake's press appearances. She spoke freely about directing, rewriting scenes, even leading the creative tone of the film. While Justin stayed in the background, Blake controlled the message. Entertainment journalists noticed he looked like he was reading from a script. One reporter wrote, "She looked like she wrote it." The pattern, strikingly similar to what Piers Morgan described, a chilling consistency. Critics receive letters with the same phrasing: irreparable harm, defamatory implications, cease immediately, yet never a list of specific falsehoods. No clarification, no corrections, just silence demanded. The camera fades to black as a stack of nearly identical legal letters appears. Their headers blurred, but their tone unmistakable. Voiceover tightens. When even collaborators are forced into silence, what does that say about the culture behind the curtain? What does it say about power? The scene opens on a dimly lit apartment, cramped, cluttered with half-filled coffee mugs and old magazine spreads. A small laptop glows on the desk. Paused on an archived blog post titled, "Blake Lively's Preserve, Handmade or Handpicked?" PR. The voiceover begins slowly. almost whispering. She wasn't famous for controversy. Blake Lively built her brand on grace, elegance, old money, charm, but behind the flowing gowns and lifestyle blogs was a machinery few ever dared to describe. The camera pans over an email dated 2015. A cease addressed to Mia Thornton, a small-time fashion blogger. Her crime questioning whether Blake's now-defunct lifestyle brand, Preserve, was genuinely curated by her or simply a PR repackaged Etsy collection. MIA. Never posted again. A new voice. Fades. In anonymous. Disguised. I had less than 5,000 followers. The article was up for maybe a day. And then the letter came. Malicious misrepresentations. No explanation. Just ... Threat. She took the article down. She deleted her blog. She left the internet entirely. Voiceover titans. Thornton's story was far from unique. Records from media watchdog groups confirm it. At least 7 former journalists and entertainment writers received similar threats between 2014 and 2020. All after publishing pieces that questioned aspects of Blake's business ventures. Her cocktail line was sustainable, whether her wellness branding was derivative, or if her sudden alignment with feminist causes had more to do with optics than conviction. They weren't hit with lawsuits. They didn't go to court. They simply disappeared. A newsroom insider explains, it became an unspoken rule. If you write about Blake Lively, it better be glowing, or it better be anonymous. Otherwise, you're getting a letter. Then we're at the fanforums. Cut to a grainy screen cap of a 2018 post on a Blake Lively subreddit. A discussion thread speculating about alleged on-set tension between Blake and a co-star. Normal celebrity gossip. Until it wasn't. The moderator Anonymous received a legal warning within days. It scared the hell out of me. They admitted. I was running a fan group. I wasn't a journalist. But they treated me like a threat. Voiceover grows heavier. Even gossip wasn't safe. Especially when it hinted at something real. The screen fades to an old Gossip Girl behind-the-scenes photo, Blake smiling, surrounded by crew. But according to several former crew members, that smile came with conditions. One tech, who worked 3 seasons, said, "You learned fast. Tell stories about Blake unless they make her look good. Otherwise her reps step in." The timeline begins to take shape. 2014, Preserve launches. Legal warning issued to first blogger within 48 hours. 2016, The Shallows debuts. A blogger posts a critique about its marketing focus on Blake's appearance. Legal threat. Post removed. 2018, fan speculation during a simple favor promo run leads to legal takedown of fan posts. 2022-22 for reports surface of increased monitoring of social media commentary around Blake's involvement in it ends with us. At each wave of criticism, each legal push, always tied to a new career milestone. Media analyst Jasper Whitman appears on screen. Sitting in a low-lit studio, this isn't just public relations. This is reputation architecture where control over narrative becomes more important than truth itself. The screen darkens again. 3 cease-and-desist letters slowly fade in, one after another, each vague, each terrifying in tone, each signed by the same law firm. Voiceover drops to a whisper. They never tell you exactly what you said wrong, because they don't want a correction. They want you gone. The part closes on a single question, burning on screen. What happens when every version of the truth except hers is deleted? It opens in the back office of a glossy entertainment magazine, papers strewn across a desk. A flat white cooling beside a notepad filled with half-scratched lines. A senior features editor, blurred for anonymity, leans forward in a recorded Zoom interview. "We had the interviews. We had the quotes. But as soon as the legal email came in, everything froze." He's talking about a 2016 piece, a simple profile on Blake Lively during the Shallows promo cycle. The article originally included a quote from an unnamed crew member questioning Blake's creative input. It wasn't hostile, it was honest. But according to the editor, within 24 hours of sending the preview to Blake's team for standard PR vetting, they got more than notes, they got a letter. The editor reads, "We request the immediate removal of any statements which constitute malicious speculation or unfounded claims regarding Ms. Lively's professional conduct." He flips the paper. There's no mention of which claims, just a blanket demand. And this wasn't a one-time thing. The camera cuts to an LA-based stylist face off screen. Audio filtered. "I've worked with dozens of actresses. Blake's team is the only one that makes you sign a retroactive NDA. If anyone on set talks to Pressevin about wardrobe, even celebrity photographers have faced similar pressures." One, who shot Blake for a major fashion cover, reveals, "After this shoot, I posted a behind-the-scenes photo on my Instagram. Nothing controversial, just her laughing between takes. I was told to take it down. That it violated her image policy." Image policy. Yes, according to insiders, Blake's team has circulated a private memorandum among selected vendors and collaborators dictating not only how she should be shot, but how she should not be described. Words like controlling, distant, hands-on, even perfectionist were reportedly discouraged. Preferred descriptors included visionary, meticulous, and collaborative. It wasn't just media. The voiceover sharpens. From stylists to showrunners, Blake Lively's team was managing the narrative at every level, using soft power, legal muscle, and strategic intimidation to ensure one version of her story was ever told. Nowhere was this more visible than during the development of It Ends With Us. The Blake-Justin rift didn't begin on camera. It started during early pre-production meetings, according to 3 crew members with direct knowledge. At first, Baldoni and Blake were aligned co-leads, equal partners. But the balance shifted once shooting began. Blake's team allegedly began reviewing scripts uninvited, suggesting changes and controlling access to behind-the-scenes footage. When Baldoni raised concerns privately, via email, he was reportedly told to stay in his lane. That the production's brand image depended on unity. That word again, image. When Baldoni attempted to clarify his role in post-production interviews, Blake's lawyers reportedly sent letters to the studio. Voiceover deepens. Not to block what he said, but to prevent how he might be asked. Suddenly, reporters were warned not to ask about their relationship. No questions about creative control. And certainly, no reference to the now infamous dance scene, which many fans say hinted at underlying tension. The control even extended to caption edits on studio Instagram posts, one instance confirmed by a digital marketing staffer. We were told to remove a fan comment that praised Justin's direction, that it was misleading. That's when I realized this wasn't just PR. This was surveillance. The term echoed. Surveillance. Because according to former publicists, Blake's team uses advanced social media tracking tools, monitoring Reddit, Tumblr, Discord servers, searching for patterns, flagging problematic phrasing, even alerting moderators when threads grow too speculative. One Reddit admin recalls, "We got an email from someone claiming to be a fan. It sounded off too legalistic. They asked us to remove a thread. We refused. 2 days later, our mod inbox received a cease-and-desist from a law firm." Voiceover delivers the chilling summary. What began as a quest for reputation management evolved into a fortress of silence where even whispering the wrong thing could trigger consequences. The part closes on a split screen. Piers Morgan, reading his statement. Justin Baldoni sitting stone-faced during a press junket, and a small-time blogger typing her last celebrity critique before deleting her account for good. 3 different people, 3 different corners of the media spectrum. One name, Blake Lively, fade to black, and a single line appears. How many voices had to vanish before someone finally spoke back? The camera cuts to a nighttime aerial of Los Angeles. Glittering lights sprawl across the horizon, but the voiceover doesn't romanticize it. Instead, it drills deeper. Hollywood is built on illusions, red carpets, scripted interviews, rehearsed vulnerability. But what happens when the illusion becomes law? We descend on the towering office building of an elite LA entertainment law firm. Inside, the lights never seem to turn off. A former paralegal voice disguised, silhouette hidden speaks cautiously. "I worked there for 3 years. And let me be clear, we didn't represent just Blake." But the moment her name came up, everyone in the office changed tone. People got quiet. The partners got involved directly. It was all about speed and optics. This law firm, unnamed for legal reasons, is one of the most aggressive in the business. Known for its work defending A-list reputations, its tactics have been compared off the record to psychological warfare, and Blake's team reportedly used them often. Another former associate shows redacted snippets of template cease-and-desists, privacy violation warnings, defamation threats, all adjustable for whoever crossed the line that week. But what stuck with me, the associate says, was how vague they always were. You'd think, legally, you'd have to say, this sentence is false because X, but nope, they were written to imply consequences without proving harm. That's the art of it. Fear, not facts. Voiceover. This isn't a courtroom. It's a pre-litigation strategy and ecosystem designed to scare you into silence before a judge ever sees a thing. The exposure moves next to another overlooked piece of the puzzle, brand partnerships. In 2021, Blake Lively launched Betty Buzz, a sparkling mixer line she claimed reflected her healthy lifestyle. The press release went viral. Celebrities posted Instagram photos with perfectly arranged bottles. Vogue covered it. Goop endorsed it. But one micro-influencer's experience stood out. Her name was EXO, a wellness TikToker with under 10,000 followers. She was one of the first creators to review Betty Buzz. Her take, polite but honest. "I said I liked the ginger one but thought the grapefruit was too syrupy. That was it." 3 days later, she received an email from what she first thought was a PR rep. It wasn't. It was a lawyer. The message suggested that her video could constitute disparagement in violation of promotional terms. Zoe was stunned. She'd bought the product herself. "I wasn't under contract. I wasn't paid. I just reviewed it. And yet here they were, threatening to blacklist me if I didn't remove the video." She took it down. "I didn't want to lose brand deals. I couldn't afford to be labeled difficult." Voiceover continues. If that sounds familiar, It's because this strategy, silence through intimidation, isn't new, but it's rarely this refined, rarely this invisible, and rarely this effective. Then comes a new revelation, one the producers of the expos held back until this moment. An anonymous whistleblower from within a major streaming service confirms that during preliminary talks for a Blake Lively-led series, the platform was given a reputation clause. She would only sign if the company agreed not to produce, license, or promote any content that undermined the public image of her or her affiliated brands. It wasn't just about scripts, it included documentaries, news specials, and even third-party acquisitions. Think about that. A clause that prevents an entire network from platforming any story that might reflect poorly on one individual. Voiceover, it's not a conspiracy, it's a contract. The screen flashes a quote from one of the internal memos. The talent reserves the right to withdraw from all promotional commitments if said platform features content deemed harmful to personal brand equity. Brand equity, not truth, not journalism, equity. The part ends not with a scandal but with a quote by a former studio executive who once clashed with Blake's team over editorial freedom. She's smart, that's not up for debate, but when protecting your image becomes more important than the truth, who are you really? And what are you afraid people might see if you didn't control the mirror? The screen opens on a montage of YouTube videos, TikToks, and Reddit threads. Creators with ring lights break down timelines. Podcast hosts speak in hushed tones. Twitter X screenshots blur in and out. Hashtags flash. Hashtag let Baldoni speak. Hashtag preserve the truth. Hashtag legal glamour voice dash over cutscene. The media may be silent, but the internet never is. As Blake Lively's alleged legal machine kept grinding quietly behind the scenes, a resistance was already building. Not in boardrooms or press conferences, but in comment sections, Discord servers, and sen, our fan exposees enter a new wave of digital investigators, unpaid, unconnected, but relentless. Some are former fans, others are neutral skeptics. Of them are asking the same question. If Blake's image is so spotless, why does she work so hard to erase what people say? Clips play of fan commentary. She used to be my role model, but now, it just feels curated. It's like she doesn't want anyone to remember anything real about her. Every time someone speaks up, they get wiped off the internet. But these voices can't all be silenced. Not anymore. A creator known only as @LegalTQueen, a former paralegal, now runs a TikTok account devoted to unpacking cease-and-desist tactics used in celebrity PR. Her most viral post, a breakdown of the alleged letter Blake's team sent to Piers Morgan. We've seen this language before. Irreparable harm, malicious falsehoods, but never one actual example of the supposed defamation. That's the trick. You don't fight the facts, you scare people out of saying anything at all. Meanwhile, fans dig deeper into court filings, compare timestamps on videos, and analyze wardrobe choices like crime scene photos. And yet, Blake Lively remains silent. Not a single statement addressing the accusations. Denial, no clarification, just polished photo shoots, softlit trailers, and branded cocktail recipes. But the silence now sounds louder than words. Back in Hollywood, the air grows thin. Industry insiders are starting to whisper. One casting director, speaking anonymously, reveals that a recent Blake Lively film was quietly pulled from several internal shortlists. No one wants to admit it out loud. She says, but there's unease. You don't want to sign someone who might turn every disagreement into a legal liability. And then, it happens. A producer known for past collaborations with both Justin Baldoni and Blake makes an unexpected move. He releases a 700-word statement on his personal blog. No PR, no agency, just a direct post titled, "This isn't just about two people, it's about power." The statement doesn't accuse anyone directly, but it paints a chilling picture. A culture in Hollywood where disagreement is punished, silence is incentivized, and legal intimidation is normalized. The final paragraph reads, "We've created an industry where fear wins. Where having the money to make something disappear matters. More than whether it's true, I'm not here to defend Justin or accuse Blake. I'm here to say we're all complicit in letting it get this far." The post goes viral, and suddenly, things shift. Talent agents start fielding questions from anxious clients. Studios quietly reevaluate upcoming projects. Interviewers begin asking tougher questions, but not everyone is backing down. One of Blake's fiercest defenders, a fellow actress and longtime friend, speaks out on Instagram Live. "Y'all are turning on her over internet theories and edited screenshots. She's been nothing but professional and kind every time I've worked with her. The people talking, they weren't there." The comment section divides instantly. Half agree. The other half posts screenshots of alleged court documents, redacted emails, and side-by-side clips of interviews that don't add up. The narrative is no longer controlled. It's splintered. Voiceover closes. Some stories are manufactured, others escape, and once they're out, no PR machine, no cease-and-desist letter, no red carpet glow can put them back. A pause. Then a single question fades in across the screen. Bold white over black. What is Blake Lively really trying to protect? Fade to black. Dot. It begins in the quiet. Dot. No headlines. No tweets from Variety. No panel debates on Good Morning America. Just ... Stillness. After weeks of controversy, you'd expect Hollywood's biggest trade publications to weigh in on the Blake Lively legal intimidation scandal, especially now, with Piers Morgan, Justin Baldoni, and several former colleagues all hinting at a pattern. But they don't. No editorial from Deadline. No front-page coverage in The Hollywood Reporter. No podcast segment from The Ringer. Instead, reporters whisper to each other, off the record, "We pitched it. It got shelved. Too close to a pending legal matter. Her team has pull. You don't want to get blacklisted." That last word, blacklisted, hangs heavy. Because beneath the surface of public silence, something else is happening. Sources say that a quiet email chain has begun circulating. Not an official memo, but a warning. Unspoken, untraceable. Real. It's not about Blake Lively. Not directly. It's about what happens when you question her. "We lost access to 2 major names after running that segment. We were dropped from a premier invite list. Suddenly our client's role was written out. No explanation." This isn't just one outlet, it's a pattern. When you follow the thread, you realize that several smaller blogs and YouTube channels that previously posted critical content have suddenly vanished or gone dark. A fashion writer with 200K subscribers deletes all her Blake Lively videos. A podcast episode discussing the Baldoni split disappears midstream. Reddit threads once filled with discussion are wiped by moderators citing legal concerns. Some begin to call it the freeze. It's the opposite of a scandal storm. It's what happens after when lawyers have done their job. When PR firms stop denying and start disappearing things. When you no longer need to silence people because they silence themselves. But not everyone is playing along. An investigative reporter at an indie media outlet publishes a long-form piece titled, "Pretty, Powerful, Untouchable, Inside the Legal Fortress Around Blake Lively." The article is damning. It connects past legal threats, aggressive takedowns, and patterns of media suppression stretching back nearly a decade. It includes anonymous quotes from former Warner Brothers PR staff, leaked versions of cease-and-desist letters, and corroborating DMEs from independent bloggers who say they were threatened into silence. Within hours, the article is taken down. No explanation, no retraction, just gone, but it's too late. Screenshots flood Twitter. Archive links are posted on TikTok. #Untouchable Blake trends for a full day. A lawyer close to the Baldoni camp posts cryptically, "You can't sue the truth out of existence. You can only delay it." And now, for the first time, other celebrities start to react indirectly. A-list actors post cryptic quotes about truth always surfacing. A major director likes a tweet about silencing critics with cash. A screenwriter shares a meme. Some people hire stylists, others hire attorneys. It's subtle, but it's movement. And inside studio boardrooms, meetings begin. Quiet, strategic meetings. Not about canceling Blake, but about mitigating risk. Her upcoming movie release, budget slashed, press tour, minimized, planned brand expansion, postponed. No one says it out loud, but the industry is bracing. Because the silence, it's no longer working. There's something dangerous about a story that refuses to die, that grows stronger every time it's ignored. A story that too many people now want told, and the question that haunts every new whisper, every paused interview, every shadowy call from publicists to reporters is this: if Blake Lively is innocent, why is everyone so afraid to talk? It happened on a Wednesday, not at a press conference, not on a podcast, not in a leaked deposition or court document. It happened in the middle of a live stream. EXO Kravitz was doing a casual Q&A on Instagram talking about skincare, climate policy, and her upcoming projects when a question slid into the feed. Harmless at first glance. Would you ever work with Blake Lively? There was a pause. Then, something in her face changed. Her usual effortless calm faltered. Her eyes narrowed not with anger, but with calculation. A beat passed. Then another, and then she said it. "Honestly, no, not after what I know." The chat exploded. Hearts, question marks, fire emojis. "What do you mean? Wait, say more. Is this about the lawsuit?" But Zoe just smiled, leaned closer to the camera, and added, "Some people weaponize kindness. Others weaponize lawyers. I prefer not to be on set with either." She didn't elaborate. She didn't need to. The floodgates were open. Clips of the live stream went viral within minutes. Zoe Kravitz shades Blake Lively trended globally in under an hour. TMZ ran the headline. Zoe throws shade more celebs turning on Blake. But this wasn't just shade. This was the first time a major A-list woman and insider, a peer, had drawn a line in the sand. And she wasn't alone. Within 24 hours, others followed in her wake. Subtle, but unmistakable, Issa Rae reposted a cryptic tweet. "When the truth gets too expensive, people pay to bury it." Florence Pugh shared an Instagram story with an old Vogue cover ripped in half. Blake's face blurred out. Penn Badgley, Blake's former Gossip Girl co-star, liked SOA's livestream clip twice, then unliked, then liked again, and then Slate broke her silence. In a Medium blog post titled, "My experience on set wasn't safe," she never named Blake directly, but the implications were unmistakable. "I was on a project where hierarchy masked harm, where the script said one thing and the set felt like another. When I tried to speak up, I was reminded in subtle and not so subtle ways that some narratives are protected by power, and some of us are expendable." The post was signed, Jenny Slate, actress, writer, person who's done being quiet. Factional sources confirmed what the public suspected. Her statement had been reviewed by legal counsel. Every word was weighed. No defamation, no libel, just truth. Framed like a memoir, Hollywood began to panic. Agents were pulled into emergency meetings. Talent managers called clients, warning them not to wade in. Blake's reps reportedly reached out to multiple outlets, offering exclusive interviews, but only if the recent allegations were off limits. For the first time, no one took the deal. The whispers were now a chorus, a slow, rising crescendo, from the edges of the industry toward its glossy center. And then came the most unexpected break. Taylor Swift unfollowed Blake Lively. Just one click. But in the world of celebrity optics, it was seismic. Swift, Blake's longtime best friend, godmother to her children, frequent collaborator, had remained silent for weeks, even as her fans flooded comment sections begging for a statement, even as Blake's crisis PR team allegedly leveraged the friendship to paint a victim of smearing narrative. But now, silence had shifted into signal. Taylor's team didn't respond to requests for comment, but a source close to her camp simply said, "She's watching everything closely." By the week's end, fan theories spiraled. Old interviews were re-examined, red carpet photos were dissected for even promotional clips from It Ends With Us were slowed down, frame by frame, to catch what wasn't being said. And in all the noise, one question surged louder than the rest. What did Zoe know? Because if someone like her, poised, calculated, respected, was willing to crack the seal, then maybe Blake's grip on the narrative wasn't as unbreakable as it seemed. Fade out. At exactly 9:17 a.m. the next morning, Blake Lively's name vanished from the upcoming Netflix slate. No announcement, no press release, just gone. Industry insiders noticed first day, Sharp-eyed entertainment. Journalists spotted the change on a private talent scheduling dashboard. The greenlit project, a limited prestige drama set in post-war Europe, had been quietly removed from the roster. Internally, it was known as Blake's Emmy vehicle. Externally, it was now a ghost. Phone calls began immediately. Netflix publicists scrambled, but the answer was consistent. "We're re-evaluating all elements of our upcoming lineup. We have no further comment at this time." Behind the scenes, the truth was more brutal. A senior Netflix executive, speaking on background, confirmed the real story. She became radioactive. There's no polite way to say it. The platform's legal risk team had reportedly flagged over a dozen open threads related to Blake's litigation. Tactics from cease-and-desist threats to potential defamation suits, especially after Kravitz's livestream. It wasn't about guilt or innocence. It was about optics. One exec said it plainly. You don't risk a $75 million prestige drop during awards season on someone whose name is trending for silencing victims and manipulating coasters. WME, Blake's talent agency, called it a temporary cooling-off period, but no one believed that. The unraveling had begun. Meanwhile, Justin Baldoni, quiet for days, posted a short, cryptic message to Instagram, a single photo of him walking away from a closed soundstage. The caption, "Not all silence is surrender." That was all it took. Within hours, Variety and Deadline began publishing retrospective breakdowns of his side of the story. For the first time, mainstream press outlets were no longer scared to question the Blake Lively myth. In one report, an anonymous producer described the It Ends With Us set as the most divided production I've worked on in 20 years. Another called it a masterclass in controlled chaos. Then came the leak. A 43-second audio recording allegedly from a closed-door production meeting surfaced online. In it, a female voice, widely believed to be Blake's, can be heard saying, "Don't care what he feels. This is about the brand. We keep it tight, clean, and controlled." Got it. The clip exploded across TikTok and X millions of views in under 12 hours. While Blake's reps refused to verify its authenticity, the damage was already done. More damning still was what followed. Maggie Jacobs, a second assistant director on the project, posted a 2-page open letter to Medium. In it, she detailed the culture of fear that reportedly permeated the production. Every morning, the call sheet changed. Every afternoon, new rules. And every evening, someone else got a legal warning. It wasn't a set. It was a containment zone. She added, the most terrifying part wasn't Blake's legal team, it was realizing how many people were willing to enable it just to stay employed. The letter gained traction with industry unions, especially among IATSE workers. A small faction began circulating an anonymous petition demanding greater protections for crew members facing celebrity-driven legal intimidation on set. Hollywood was shifting, quietly but noticeably. Then came the phone call that changed everything. Taylor Swift's PR manager reached out to Rolling Stone. No statement, just a suggestion. You should look into the NDA language Blake uses on her projects. It's unusual. That was the green light journalists had been waiting for. Within 48 hours, Rolling Stone released a bombshell expose, analyzing the NDA used on Blake's recent productions. Unlike standard confidentiality agreements, these contracts allegedly included sweeping clauses, barring crew members from making any public comments about her demeanor, interactions, or creative leadership, even in private, online forums. One entertainment attorney called them some of the most aggressive personal image protection clauses I've seen outside of national security circles. The piece concluded with a chilling quote from a former set medic. People weren't just scared to speak, they were scared to be seen speaking. Now the narrative had officially flipped. Blake Lively was no longer the elegant, charming A-lister in Gucci couture. She was a question mark, a case study, a warning sign. And while her team was working overtime, buying up search ads, scrubbing threads, offering carefully curated interviews to friendly outlets, none of it was working anymore. The silence was cracking, and everyone knew. It was only a matter of time before someone much bigger than Zoe, Jenny, or Justin came forward.